What is going on, guys? Shooting Dave here, so good to see your faces. Welcome back to the channel. Now, if you're new here and you don't know what I'm about, I'm a photographer from London that now lives here in Los Angeles, and I typically make photo and video editing tutorials. However, today is not going to be one of those days. You see, it's been roughly a year, well, actually 14 months since I've moved out to Los Angeles, and I want to make this video of like a review of what it's been like for the last year living out here. So I know it's kind of selfish, and I know this is a bit of a Dear Diary video, but I really want to make it for my own benefit, and well, if you guys enjoy it, then that's an added bonus. So to make this video a little bit easier to understand, I'm going to break it down into some categories. First of all, let's go with finance. I know it's not really the most interesting one and not everyone likes talking about money, but it is an important one to consider when moving out here. You see, first of all, to move out here you need quite a lot of money behind you. There are a lot of lawyer fees that you need to pay when going through doing your visa process, and that is only half of the battle. See, if you're already living in the UK, you probably have an established credit rating behind you, and that's great. However, one thing to consider when you move out here, that is completely removed. You go back to zero and you're a complete alien in a different country. So building credit is incredibly difficult. I'm 14 months in now and I'm still struggling to get approved for some things due to my lack of credit history, even though I'm 35 years of age and I've been banking since I was about 14. But America doesn't consider that when you move from the UK. So to get around that, what I actually did is open up a bank with my HSBC bank in the UK. I opened an account out here with it, and that at least allowed me to get a checkings account, a savings account, and then eventually a credit card, so I could start building it. So if you have a HSBC account, or any other bank for that matter, that has a US bank account and you're thinking about doing the same thing, then I would suggest doing that. So anyway, so how has the rest of the finances been out here? Well, effectively starting from scratch has been quite liberating. You have no debt, have no bad credit rating or no bad behavior behind you. Not that I ever did, but it's quite liberating, and it's quite nice to see the numbers climb month to month as you start improving on that credit rating. So not having much of a credit rating can actually affect your financial decision making ability on things like getting a mobile phone contract. That can be quite difficult. Getting a deposit for your own rent for your apartment, that can be exceedingly difficult. For those of you who don't know, when I actually moved into this apartment, I had to pay a deposit of $6,600 and then my first month's rent immediately afterwards. So that was a tough pill to swallow, and that was all down to the fact that I didn't have any credit rating at all in this country. So that can be really difficult. Buying a car out here can be incredibly difficult. So those of you know that when you live in LA, you basically need a car to get around, otherwise you're kind of stranded. I spent 14 months not having a car, and it was kind of hell. I had to rent a car every time I wanted to go anywhere, which in itself adds up quite a lot. However, so when I wanted to buy a car, it becomes quite difficult because your lack of credit rating means that it's a hindrance against you when you try and take out an auto loan. Yes, you can get one, but the interest rates will be so high that it won't be worth paying back. So things like my bank, I luckily built up a good enough credit rating and a good enough behavioural rating with them that they were actually able to lend me the money, which is how I got my car. And those of you who subscribe to my channel will already know that because I got it last week. And if you haven't seen the video, check it out up here. Okay, so that's finance done. The next category that I want to talk about is a really big and important one, and it's friends and family.
I don't have friends, I got family.
You see, not being able to have your friends around and hang out after work and go around each other's houses, go out for dinner, go to the pubs, all of that kind of stuff that you used to have when you're living close by is all gone out the window. And sure, you can talk over WhatsApp, Instagram, you'll do your Zoom calls or whatever you want, but it's really just not the same. And you also have such a small window in which to communicate with them, because everyone that I know is living back in England and they are 8 hours ahead of me, which means by the time I get up and get ready to call, it's around dinner time for them, and by the time it's my lunchtime, it's mid-evening for them. So there is only a very small window. And the same is true for family. I've never been one to get homesick. However, I do miss my family dearly. Like, I really do wish they were with me. Now, not so much so that it's the proximity that I'm missing, but I get sad. I wish they could come out here and just experience what it's like to be out here. I want to share everything that there is out here, and I want to take them around and show them all the cool restaurants, the nice beaches, the nice mountains, and the cool boutique shops. I wish that they could experience it with me, So that is one thing that I really do miss. I mean, we have regular catch-ups, we have big WhatsApp family groups, and it's great to stay in communication that way, but it's just not the same. And this is kind of soppy, but I just want to be able to hug all my family, and COVID has kind of made that a bit of a a hard thing to do. I can't even travel home if I wanted right now. So yeah, missing friends and family is a big one. And so if you're considering moving out here, that is one thing that you will want to consider. Hopefully in the future, COVID won't be such a thing, so you can travel a little bit more freely. But yeah, right now it's pretty tough. The next category that I want to talk about is work.
All right, pace yourself because you're going to have to do this all day for very little money.
After all, it is the main reason that I moved out here, is so I can work in a different studio within the company that I work for, which is Taylor James. So how has work been out here? Well, to be honest, it has been much busier than I had expected. You see, I think a large contributing factor to this is down to the COVID thing. No one can go out and shoot anymore, so that means everyone's turning to CGI, as it's the only really viable option right now. You can't have huge camera crews turning up to photograph cars in secure locations because you can't have large groups of people together. So everyone's been turning to CGI. So I have been incredibly busy right now, which is, yeah, it's great for me. It stops me from being bored, but it's really great for the company that I work for because they're pulling in way more business. But other than that, the work side of it has been great because the whole reason why I moved out here is so I'm closer to my clients and I can deal with them on their time zone. And that has been fantastic. I've had way more communication with my clients. I've been much more FaceTime with them, and it's really good to start building that relationship and cementing it and building up the trust between myself and the client. So that has been great. So work has been very rewarding for me. So what about photography? After all, this is a photography channel. Most of you watching right now know me because of photography. So how's that been out here?
This is a great shot, Mav. I should be a photographer.
Well, luckily for me, Los Angeles has a huge and very diverse car culture out here, which means there are a bunch of car builders, car workshops, and also automotive photographers. So that's been great for me. I've been able to network with a bunch of different photographers, meeting new faces, which is always fun, and I've also got to shoot a bunch of cool cars and meet friends like people at Race Service who have been kind enough to have me down and over again to photograph different cars at their incredible workshops. So it has been a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of taken a dip lately because of, again, COVID, but you know, it's been a lot of fun. And even I managed to turn around COVID and actually create my own little photography projects through it. It's called Coronavirus Lockdown Light Painting, and if you guys have not seen it before, then check out the link up here. It has even been picked up by a French magazine called The Good Life, and the magazine should be out in the next couple of months, so I'm very excited to see it actually making its way across the globe. That's pretty cool if you ask me. Okay, lifestyle. Lifestyle is another one that I want to talk about. You see, in London, I used to crave different things. I used to basically work as hard as I could during the week, mainly so I go to the pub and get absolutely obliterated on a Friday night, and I loved doing that.
I'm still on London time. Does that count?
Did mean that my Saturdays were kind of ruined, and Sundays were only the real day that I could be productive. So what has changed when I'm out here? Well, I still like beer, so there's that one. Don't worry, I still like to drink, but I crave different things now. I mean, I don't really want to go to bars and restaurants or nightclubs or anything like that anymore. I mean, part of that might be down to the fact that there's a pandemic going on right now, but there's so much more to go and see and do out here. I genuinely want to spend more time outside. I learned how to skateboard now, so I go skating down by the boardwalk from Venice all the way up to Santa Monica and then back again, and I do that pretty much every single weekend, and it's just nice. There's no camera, there's no anything that I need to do. It's just me out there enjoying myself and having a nice time in the sun. There's lots of canyon roads. Now that I've got a car, I can go out and drive these early in the morning when no one's on the roads, and that's amazing. It's through some stunning countryside, so it really is gorgeous to look at. And then, speaking of mountains as well, Amy and I like to go hiking with friends as well, so there's a lot more outdoorsy stuff. There's still more that we want. I want to learn how to surf whilst I'm out here. I mean, it's been on my list, and well, it's been 14 months, so I probably should get on that kind of soon. But yeah, there's loads of more outdoor activities that I'm willing or wanting to take part into than I was when I was living in London. So what other lifestyle changes can I talk about? Well, fashion is a slight one for us.
And you know what else? You dress like shit!
I mean, because it's constantly warm out here, I spend all of my time in shorts and slides, which is fine by me. And I used to joke to Amy whilst we were living in London that I was solar powered. Come winter in London, I used to get super miserable and I wouldn't really start getting happy until summer. Well, the sun shines the whole time here, so my mood is generally just much more upbeat all the time out here, and I love that. So what about the day-to-day? How's that different from what it was like when I was living in London?
Worst day of my life? What do you think?
Well, I'll walk you through a typical work day for me when I was in London. I'd wake up about 8 or 8:30 before grabbing a quick shower, getting dressed, walking to the tube, spending about 35 minutes on the tube, and then walking to the office. Then work all day, go out for lunch, probably to the pub, and then go back to work before heading home. And that journey to and from on the tube used to grind you down a little bit. Sure, you could listen to a podcast on the way and it was a nice little break in your day where you had to spend 35 minutes doing nothing, but at the end of the day, you're spending 35 minutes each way doing nothing, which was awful. So when we moved out here, I wanted to live as close as I possibly could to work. I live about 15-minute drive from work. Now things have kind of changed lately because I'm not going into work, I'm actually working from home, which initially was something that I absolutely hated. I was always quite strict with myself. I liked the fact that going to work meant you're doing your work there, and when you come home, you leave your work and then you're at home. So the idea of working from home wasn't really a great one, and I didn't love it at first. However, now that I've been doing it for the last, since about February, I've grown into it and I've kind of enjoyed it. It offers up some different flexibilities that I didn't think about. It means that I don't have this constant pressure to really be productive all day long. I can take breaks if I want to and then just make up the hours when it's convenient. It's quite nice. The only downside is I've gone from kind of working from home to now living at work, which means that I will just jump on and answer a quick email or send off a quick render whenever I feel like it, which is a little unhealthy, but it also means if I want to go out for like 2 hours or go and run some errands during the day, I have no problem doing that, and as long as I get my work done, everything works out well. So day-to-day life, I have to say, on a whole, although very different to London, I do miss going to the pub with my friends, as I mentioned. I really like working out here. I really like the work-life balance that I've got at the moment, and I love the fact that I've got this flexibility where I can work if I want to and not work if I don't have to. And there's one other thing that I feel like we should address, and that is the elephant in the room, and that is COVID, the pandemic. I mean, it has affected everyone on a global scale in very different ways, and we are no different. It's affected us. Now, don't worry, Amy and I do not have the virus, and we have not been infected in any way, shape or form. In fact, we've been very safe about this thing. However, it has affected us in terms of Amy's employment. For those of you who don't know, when Amy moved over here with me, she was on an L2 spousal visa, which means she's not legal to work. You need an employment agreement document in order for you to be able to work. We got one of those. It took about 120 days to come through, but it came through in February, around about the same time the virus kicked off. So that meant she wasn't able to get a job because, well, no one was hiring. In fact, business was shutting down and losing their customer base, which sucks for them. And it also sucks for us because Amy can't get a job.
Oh my God. I am never going to financially recover from this.
So that means she's not going to be able to be bringing in any extra money for herself. Now, don't worry, we're not actually struggling at all from this, but it just sucks for her, you know. I just feel bad for her because she doesn't have her own money that's coming in. That means she can't buy the things she wants to. She can't do the things that she wants to do. And, well, she's reliant on me for money, which, well, just sucks for her, you know. It's not fair. However, I don't want to sound ungrateful. I know that we got off incredibly lightly and other people have been much more worse affected than we have, so we've got to be thankful for that. Now let's talk about some achievements that we're particularly proud of.
Great. Really great.
And first of all is, well, it's this apartment. It is by far the nicest apartment that Amy and I have ever had. We lived together in Birmingham, we lived in 2 different apartments in London, and now we have this one in Los Angeles, and well, we both love it. Okay, it's not quite finished. We still need to finish off the bedroom and the balcony, but that should be done in the next couple of months. But honestly, we adore this apartment. And as of a couple of weeks ago, we actually got our first car out here as well, which has been phenomenal. That has just made it so much more liberating. We are now free to go and drive wherever we want to without having to rent a car. So we're going to go on some road trips eventually when it's safe to do so. But right now there's some cool mountain roads that we're going to go check out. And maybe we'll go out to the desert into Joshua Tree or something like that. So expect a vlog or 2 coming in the near future on that. So if you're watching this and you are considering moving out here, all I would say to you is just do your research. And as far as you, I would save up and hire a solicitor or a lawyer to go through the paperwork for you. Because if I look back at last year when I was moving out here, I can't tell you how unbelievably stressful it was to go through that process. Most people wouldn't survive it. It's disgustingly awful to go through. I lost about 20 pounds in weight due to stress during that time, and my resting heart rate was 100 beats per minute. It was very stressful, so you want to be 100% sure that you want to move out here, and you're going to need a bit of backing to do that because, well, lawyers aren't cheap, and it's also going to be incredibly expensive when you move out here because you're going to be wanting to rent an apartment. And as I mentioned earlier, I had to pay an enormous deposit on this apartment because I had no credit history. So if you are moving out here, just make sure you're prepared and ready and do your research on what kind of visa that you want to go for. However, once you're past all of that, I will say this has been possibly one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life. I adore living out here. I just love the fact that I can go to the beach, turn around and see the mountains. To me, that blows my mind every time I see it. And I love the fact that I can get in the car and within a couple of minutes be up in the mountains or in the desert and be far away from where I live. It's amazing. And this state that we live in is so vast that you can drive for hours and hours and hours and still be inside it. And there's so much that I have to yet to explore, and I can't wait for Amy and I to go out and look at all these cool places and experience different things once travel is a bit more acceptable and a bit safer. Okay, I think that's all from me, guys. I know this is kind of a selfish and indulgent video, but if you stuck around to the end, then thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Well, that is all from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you got any comments or questions, or you want to know more, let me know down below because I'm happy to answer for it. I like talking to you guys in the comment section. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. I normally make much more interesting videos than this. I normally do tutorials and vlogs and stuff like that, so stick around if you want to. And follow me on Instagram. I am at Shooting Dave, and as always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.